Hello and welcome. I'm Aiden, your narrator for tonight. It's good to have you here. Let's take a gentle moment together to drift away from the noise of the day and slip into a space that's soft, quiet, and unhurried. Tonight, I'll be sharing a story called A Day Just Driving Aimlessly, a calm and comforting journey through open roads, quiet towns, and the small surprises that appear when we let life guide us instead of trying to steer every moment. But before we begin, we'd love to hear from you. Where are you listening from, and what time is it as you settle in for this story? And if you feel like it, tell us what kinds of stories you'd enjoy next. Your thoughts and ideas help us shape every new tale, so feel free to share them in the comments below. If you'd like even more from us, you can visit our Patreon for early access to all our stories and a curated Spotify playlist made to help you unwind. And if you've been enjoying our bedtime stories, subscribing is a simple and meaningful way to support the channel. Your presence and kindness make this place what it is. Now, take a slow breath in, then let it fall gently away. Feel your shoulders loosen. Feel the air settle around you, and allow your mind to soften at the edges. Let the world outside pause for a little while. Tonight's story begins with a simple choice: to step into a car with no destination and let the road unfold like a quiet dream. So, when you're ready, let's begin. The morning begins with a softness that feels almost unreal. Chris wakes slowly, not because of an alarm or a schedule, but because the early light creeps in gently through the curtains. The sun isn't bright yet, only a pale glow stretching across the room like a whisper, reminding him that a new day has arrived. He lies still for a moment, listening to the quiet hum of the world outside. A bird calls once, then again, as if testing its voice. Somewhere in the distance, a neighbor's gate clicks shut, then silence settles back like a blanket. Chris sits up, rubbing the last bits of sleep from his eyes. There's no plan for today, no list waiting to be checked off. In fact, today feels strangely open, a spacious kind of morning that invites him to breathe a little slower. He swings his legs over the side of the bed, his feet meeting the cool floorboards. He realizes how long it's been since he's allowed himself a day with no destination. No expectations, no direction at all. He steps into the kitchen, the scent of yesterday's coffee lingering faintly in the air. He fills a glass of water, takes a slow drink, and feels a quiet thought rise inside him. The idea comes without urgency, simple and calm. What if he just drove today? No map, no goal, just the steady rhythm of the road guiding his thoughts. Chris grabs his keys, slipping on a light jacket as he heads out the door. The morning breeze meets him with a cool touch, brushing against his face in a way that wakes him more gently than any caffeine could. His car sits in the driveway, coated in a thin shimmer of sunlight. It looks like it's been waiting, patient and unmoving, ready for whatever path he chooses. He opens the door and settles into the seat, feeling the familiar fabric beneath him, the kind that carries years of small memories. The faint scent of old leather and warmth from the rising sun fills the space. He starts the engine, listening to the soft rumble that vibrates through the steering wheel. It feels comforting, grounding, like the beginning of something simple yet meaningful. As Chris backs out of the driveway, he glances at the houses lining his street. They appear calm, half dreaming in the early light. A few curtains flutter. Someone waters plants across the road. A cat stretches on a porch. Everything feels slow, unhurried, as if the whole town understands the need for a gentle morning. He turns onto the first road he sees, not caring where it leads, letting instinct choose instead of purpose. The sky opens wider above him, blue deepening with every passing moment. And as he drives forward into the quiet of the day, Chris feels something loosen in his chest. Today is not about getting anywhere. It's about letting the day unfold on its own. And for the first time in a long while, that feels exactly right. The road opens before Chris like a long, quiet invitation. He drives with the window slightly lowered, letting the cool morning air drift gently into the car. It carries the smell of damp earth, fresh grass, and a sweetness that reminds him of summers he once spent far from the city. He isn't far from home, yet everything already feels different, lighter, more spacious, as if the moment he chose to drive without a plan, the world adjusted its pace to match his. The houses thin out quickly, replaced by open fields where tall grass sways in slow, graceful waves. Sunlight slides through the blades, creating gentle patterns that shimmer as the wind moves them. Chris keeps his hands relaxed on the wheel, guiding the car without really deciding anything, letting little things influence his direction. The brightness of a distant hill, the curve of a shady lane, the way the sky seems to rest more comfortably in one place than another. He turns down a narrow road bordered by old wooden fences, their beams faded by weather and time. Some planks lean outward, some inward, each one holding its own story of seasons, storms, and quiet years. Along one stretch, wildflowers bloom in clusters, purple, white, and soft yellow, growing freely as though they've never known restraint. A farmhouse appears on the horizon, red roof glinting against the soft blue sky. A tractor sits motionless beside it, half in sunlight, half in shade. Nearby, a dog lies in the grass, tail flicking lazily. As Chris passes, the dog lifts its head, watches calmly, then settles back down with a sigh that seems to blend into the peaceful morning. The road curves again, leading him toward a line of old oak trees. Their branches stretch over the road, creating a leafy tunnel where sunlight filters through in patches, dancing lightly across the hood of the car. Chris slows down instinctively, savoring the coolness beneath the canopy, the hush of leaves rustling above him. He notices how the roads here seem to forget their identities. No signs, no labels, just pathways that exist because someone once needed to travel through them. He finds that comforting. There's no wrong turn when every direction is allowed. He passes by a fork and chooses the right path, simply because a butterfly drifted that way. Another time, he follows the left road because the scent of pine seems stronger in that direction. Thoughts in his mind spread out gently, no longer crowding or pushing for attention. The quiet rhythm of driving becomes almost meditative. Each mile pulls him a little deeper into ease. As the road stretches further, Chris realizes he hasn't checked the time once. He hasn't felt the urge to. The sun continues its slow climb, the sky widening above him, and for the first time in a long while, he feels completely present, carried forward by roads without names, letting the day tell its own story. Chris continues along the quiet stretch of road, letting the morning unfold at its own easy rhythm. The sky has settled into a soft, steady blue, clouds drifting lazily with no real intention of going anywhere. The hum of the engine becomes a kind of companion, steady and reassuring, syncing with his breathing, syncing with the gentle thoughts drifting through his mind. He drives past a long stretch of open fields before the road narrows again, funneling him between two lines of tall trees whose branches bow toward one another like old friends greeting in the middle. It's just as he leaves that shaded path that he sees it. A small, hand-painted wooden sign standing alone at a fork in the road. The wood is weathered, edges slightly chipped, but the letters have been carefully carved, painted in faded teal. They spell the name of a town Chris has never heard of, a name so simple, yet oddly lyrical, that it feels like it belongs in a story rather than on a roadside sign. He slows down almost instinctively, curiosity tugging at him with a soft but persistent pull. The left road leads toward that unknown town, a quiet stretch disappearing into sunlit hills. The right road continues toward more open countryside, familiar, easy, safe. For a moment, Chris simply sits there, watching sunlight settle on the sign. He wonders why it feels like the sign is waiting for him, like it was placed there not for travelers passing through, but specifically for someone wandering without direction. The breeze picks up, brushing against the trees, sending a few leaves tumbling across the fork in slow spirals. Something in that movement feels like a whisper, a gentle nudge, and without fully understanding why, Chris turns the wheel toward the left road, The car rolls forward as if approving the decision. The road into this unknown place is narrower, winding softly between rolling hills, here and there. Chris catches glimpses of small details that make the path feel strangely comforting. A fence decorated with old ribbons, a scarecrow wearing a faded scarf, a cluster of daisies bending in the wind as if nodding in greeting. Everything looks quiet, peaceful, but there is something else beneath the calm. A sense of familiarity he can't quite name. He drives slowly, letting the scenery wash over him like warm water. The hills dip and rise, guiding him deeper into a landscape that feels untouched by urgency or time. The name of the town echoes in his mind, not as a memory, but as something gently calling out to him. Chris doesn't know what he'll find ahead, but for the first time since he started driving, he feels a quiet anticipation, a sense that this unexpected detour may not be accidental at all. The hills eventually part, revealing a small valley cradling a quiet little town wrapped in the warm glow of early afternoon. Chris slows the car, almost without realizing it, as the scene spreads before him like a page from an old storybook. The rooftops are soft shades of rust and brown, clustered close together as if sharing secrets. Thin wisps of chimney smoke curl lazily into the sky, drifting upward with no hurry at all. He turns onto the main road, the tires crunching lightly over cobblestone. The town feels still yet alive in its own gentle way. A bakery sits on the corner with pastel blue shutters, its wooden sign swaying gently in the breeze. A tailor's shop stands nearby, its display window filled with neatly arranged fabrics that seem untouched by dust or time. Every storefront is charming in its simplicity. Nothing flashy, nothing loud. Chris parks the car beside a small fountain in the town square. The fountain's water trickles softly, the sound blending with the faint rustling of leaves. It's peaceful here, so peaceful that he finds himself standing still for a moment, breathing in the unhurried air. There are people around, but only a few. An elderly woman sweeps her front steps with slow, practiced movements. A pair of children ride bicycles in looping patterns, their laughter soft and echoing. Even that seems subdued, as if the town itself encourages quiet joy. He begins to wander, each step leading him deeper into the heart of this sleepy place. The air carries a comforting warmth, not from the sun alone, but from the feeling that this town exists at its own gentle pace, untouched by the frantic rhythm of the world beyond the hills. Chris pauses by a small bridge stretching over a narrow river. The water moves steadily but softly, like it respects the silence around it. Dragonflies skim across the surface, leaving tiny ripples behind. A bench sits nearby, carved from old oak, inviting anyone passing by to rest. He runs his hand along the backrest, feeling the smooth grooves worn into the wood by years of use. The longer he explores, the stronger a strange sensation becomes, a faint tug in his memory. The town feels familiar, though he is certain he has never been here before. The curve of a rooftop, the way sunlight lands on the fountain, even the sound of the river. All of it stirs something deep within him. He passes a small bookstore with a chalkboard sign outside. On it, written in soft cursive, are the words, "Sometimes the places we need find us first." Chris pauses, reading it twice. A warm shiver moves through him, gentle but unmistakable. There is something about this town, something welcoming, something knowing. And as he stands there beneath the soft glow of afternoon, Chris begins to wonder if this place appeared to him for a reason. Chris continues wandering through the quiet streets, letting the afternoon settle around him like a warm blanket. The sun has shifted just enough to cast long, gentle shadows across the cobblestone paths. Everything feels touched by a soft golden glow, the kind of light that makes a place seem both real and unreal at the same time. As he walks, the faint sensation of familiarity grows stronger, like a memory trying to surface from somewhere deep, but not quite reaching the surface. He passes the bakery again, noticing how the pastel blue shutters tremble slightly in the breeze. Just as he steps beneath the awning, the tiny bell above the bakery door jingles. Chris pauses, glancing around. The door remains closed. No one is inside. The bell sways gently as though invisible hands nudged it. He tilts his head, listening. Nothing but the quiet sigh of wind. Still, a small prickle dances along the back of his neck. Not fear, but curiosity wrapped in mystery. Continuing down the street, Chris notices a street lamp at the corner, an older iron design with delicate scrollwork. As he approaches, it flickers once, twice, then settles into a steady glow. It's broad daylight, no reason for the lamp to be on at all. He steps beneath it. The lamp flickers again, as if acknowledging his presence. "Okay," he murmurs, narrowing his eyes in playful suspicion. "That's odd." Farther down the street, a narrow alley splits the row of houses, framed by ivy climbing up brick walls. Chris pauses as a shadow shifts at the far end of the alley, small, quick, and unmistakably shaped like a person. He expects someone to step out. They don't. After a few seconds, the alley returns to an empty stillness. He walks on. The air feels tinged with something unseen, something gentle and strange. The more he observes, the more odd details emerge. A curtain in a second-story window briefly sways, though no one stands behind it. A stray leaf spins in place on the ground, as though caught in a breeze he cannot feel. A wooden swing in a small yard creaks forward, then back, though the air is quiet. And then, Just when he thinks his imagination might be running wild, a man steps out from behind a nearby corner. A tall, thin figure wearing a dusty brown coat. Their eyes meet for a fraction of a second. The man gives Chris a small nod, as if in greeting, warm, knowing. Chris opens his mouth to respond, but before he can speak, the man turns the corner and disappears from view. Curious, Chris hurries after him. Rounding the corner, he finds an empty street. No footsteps, no doors closing, only the soft trickle of the river nearby. He stands still for a long moment. The town feels alive in ways that don't quite make sense. Not threatening, just aware, present, almost as if it's watching him with patient kindness. Chris lets out a slow breath, the mystery settling comfortably in his chest. Whatever this place is, it isn't ordinary. Something here is reaching out to him, echoing softly in the air, waiting for him to notice. And he does. Every step forward feels like another step into something gently magical. The late afternoon light softens as Chris makes his way toward the river's edge, drawn by the gentle sound of flowing water. The streets behind him grow quieter with each step, until his footsteps and the distant murmur of the river are the only things he can hear. The town seems to exhale around him, as though easing into an even slower rhythm as the day fades. The river sits tucked behind a row of willow trees, their long branches draping over the water like tender fingers brushing its surface. Chris walks across a small footbridge, feeling the wood creak lightly under his weight. Below, the river glimmers like liquid glass, carrying streaks of gold and soft rose colors from the descending sun. Dragonflies glide along the surface, dipping and lifting in graceful arcs. He stops at the middle of the bridge, leaning against the railing. The cool breeze brings a faint sweetness to the air, perhaps from unseen flowers nearby, or the distant bakery. He closes his eyes for just a moment, allowing the calm to settle into him. It feels peaceful here, deeply peaceful. And then he hears it. His name, soft, barely above a whisper, carried by the breeze like a secret meant only for him. Chris opens his eyes, heart lifting in surprise. He glances over his shoulder. No one stands behind him. No footsteps approach. The willow branches sway lightly, but nothing else stirs. "Hello?" he calls gently, voice steady but curious. Only the river answers, sending a new ripple across its shimmering surface. He listens, truly listens, but the voice does not repeat immediately. He wonders if he imagined it, if the long, quiet day and the strangeness of the town have woven themselves into a trick of the mind. Yet the whisper felt real, close, personal. Chris steps off the bridge and walks along the riverbank, tracing a narrow dirt path lined with smooth stones. The water flows beside him in a soft, soothing rhythm. He hears the voice again, faint but unmistakable. Chris. This time, his breath catches, not out of fear, but recognition. The voice carries a tone he can't place, gentle, familiar, like someone speaking from an old memory he hasn't touched in years. He moves toward the spot where the sound seems strongest, a small alcove where the river slows, gathering itself before spilling into a shallow cascade. Sunlight dapples the area, creating shifting patterns on the water. Chris waits, every sense open. The breeze rises, brushing the trees. The river hushes slightly, almost in anticipation. And in that quiet moment, the voice comes again, softer than before, tender. You're getting close. Chris freezes. A calm shiver moves through him, not fear, but the profound feeling that the town is guiding him, that these strange echoes are leading somewhere he is meant to go, somewhere that holds an answer he hasn't yet understood he's looking for. He kneels by the water, trailing his fingers along its cool surface. The ripples expand outward, catching the fading light. He feels it again, that sense of being known, gently seen. The voice fades, the moment dissolving back into the evening hush. But something inside Chris shifts. This town is more than peaceful streets and old memories. Something in it is calling him, softly, patiently, as if it has been waiting for him for a very long time. The sun drifts lower as Chris moves away from the river, the sky warming into soft shades of amber and fading apricot. Shadows stretch gently across the cobblestone streets, while lanterns begin to glow, one by one, as though lit by an unseen hand. The faint golden haze that often comes just before dusk spreads through the town, giving everything a dreamlike softness. Chris walks slowly, absorbing each small detail, as if seeing the world with fresh eyes. But the more he explores, the more something strange begins to happen. Each street he turns onto feels oddly familiar, not in the way places from movies or postcards do, but in the deep, quiet way memories do. Memories he thought he had forgotten. He pauses in front of a pale yellow house with ivy trailing down one side. The porch is narrow, the railing carved with simple patterns. He can't recall ever seeing this house before, yet the shape of it makes something inside him stir. He remembers a house from childhood with a similar porch, a place where he used to sit with his mother during warm evenings, eating mango slices and watching fireflies rise from the grass. But this house isn't quite the same. The color is different, the windows taller, the ivy thicker. It's like a memory borrowed, reshaped into something gentler than the original. Chris steps away, unsettled but intrigued, and turns down another street. Here he finds a small playground, empty, quiet, its swings swaying in the breeze. A tall slide stands at the center. For a moment, he imagines the echo of children laughing. He sees a flash of himself climbing the ladder as a boy. He remembers scraping his knee on a hot metal slide, just like this one. Except, the slide in his memory was red. This one is a soft sea green. The bakery he passed earlier catches his eye again. Through its frosted windows, he notices the display. 2 loaves arranged in a pattern his grandmother used to make. They look exactly like the bread she baked when he visited her small town during school breaks. The shape is right. The golden crust is right. Even the tiny scoring marks across the top match perfectly. Yet the shop sign says a different name. Not his grandmother's. Not even close. As Chris steps back from the window, a realization washes over him slowly, settling into place like a puzzle piece he didn't know was missing. This entire town feels built from fragments of his past, memories softened and rearranged into something serene, familiar but not identical, real but altered, a dream version of places he once loved, stitched together into a single quiet village. He turns a corner and stops dead in his tracks. A street stretches before him that looks almost exactly like the road he grew up on. The same angle of the pavement, the same row of trees lining the left side. Even the way the evening light hits the gravel feels achingly familiar. But none of the houses match. The shapes are different. The colors softer. The details gentler. It's like walking through the world his younger self wished for. A quieter, kinder version of reality. A whisper of understanding moves through him. This place isn't random. It isn't accidental. It's connected to him, shaped by him, reflecting something deep within him in ways he doesn't yet fully understand. The town is mirroring his memories, but only the ones wrapped in warmth. A twist he never expected. A place he has never been, yet somehow knows. And with the soft glow of lanterns beginning to bloom around him, Chris realizes he is no longer just wandering. He is being guided. The quiet glow of evening deepens as Chris follows the winding road toward the town's edge. Lantern light flickers softly behind him, casting long golden trails across the cobblestone paths. The air has cooled, carrying the faint scent of pine and something else, something old, comforting, almost like the pages of a worn book. The further he walks, the quieter it becomes, until even the murmuring river feels distant. Ahead, at the far border of the town, stands a great oak tree, massive, ancient, its branches spread wide like welcoming arms. Its leaves rustle gently, even though the wind is barely there. Beneath the oak sits an elderly man on a simple wooden bench, his posture relaxed, as though he's been expecting company. His clothes are modest, timeless. A soft linen shirt, tan slacks, well-worn boots, dusted with earth. His white hair, lifts lightly in the breeze, and his eyes, when he looks up at Chris, seem to hold both warmth and a deep, steady knowing. Chris slows his steps, taken by the quiet presence the man radiates. It's not magic, not in any dramatic sense. It's something subtler, deeper, like standing in a place where truth sits comfortably in the open. "You've come far," the man says, his voice gentle and unexpectedly familiar, even if you haven't realized it. Chris hesitates. I don't even know where I am." The man smiles. Most people don't, not at first. There's no mystery in the tone, just kindness, patience. He gestures to the empty space beside him. "Sit a while." Chris joins him under the oak. The bench is cool, the wood smooth from years of use. For a moment, neither of them speaks. They just watch the sky shift into dusky purples and soft golds. Fireflies begin to drift in the tall grass, blinking like tiny, wandering stars. "You've noticed the town," the man says eventually, his gaze still on the horizon. "How it feels familiar, how it reflects pieces of your past." Chris nods. "I thought I was imagining it." "You're not." The man folds his hands on his lap. "This town appears only to those who need rest. It's built from the softest parts of your memories, the pieces that comfort you, calm you, remind you of gentler times." Chris feels something tighten in his chest, then loosen with a slow breath. "Why me?" "Because you've been carrying more than you think," the man answers. "Your days have been full, your heart stretched thin. You needed a place not to escape to, but to remember yourself in." Chris swallows, the truth settling through him like warm tea. "This place, it's not permanent, is it?" he asks quietly. The man shakes his head. "No. It stays only as long as you need it. When your spirit feels steady again, the town will fade. But what you've gained here won't." Chris turns to look at him. "Who are you?" The man chuckles softly, eyes twinkling. "Just a keeper. Someone who watches over the quiet places people rediscover." As he says this, Chris notices something he hadn't before. The oak tree behind the man glows faintly. Not with light, but with presence. As if it too were alive in a way beyond its branches and leaves. "You're close," the keeper adds gently. "Closer than you know." The words settle deep within Chris, warming a part of him he hadn't realized had grown cold. And for the first time today, he feels not just calm, but understood, seen. The town didn't just call him here, it recognized him. The sky deepens into a quiet violet as night slowly gathers around the little town. Lanterns glow warmly along the streets behind Chris, their soft golden halos flickering in the gentle breeze. He stands beneath the ancient oak with the keeper's words still resting in his mind. Words that feel like they've been waiting for him long before he ever arrived. The keeper doesn't say anything more. he simply gives Chris a small nod, a knowing one, as if to say, "You'll understand the rest on your own." Chris takes one last look at the oak tree. Its branches sway slightly, almost in a gesture of farewell. Here and there, tiny sparks of light drift upward from the grass, fireflies rising into the coming night. Everything about this place feels deliberate, peaceful, as though the town itself is gently guiding him toward his next step. He walks back through the quiet streets. The bakery shutters are closed now, but a warm glow leaks through the cracks. The swings in the playground sway only slightly, no longer stirred by unseen things, but by the soft night breeze. Even the river seems calmer, its surface smoothing out into a mirror, reflecting clusters of early stars. Chris's footsteps echo softly on the cobblestones. Something inside him feels settled, soothed. It's as if an invisible weight he had learned to carry without noticing has finally been set down. The town, whatever it truly is, has done what it was meant to do. He reaches the square where his car waits near the fountain. The gentle trickling of water is deeper now, slower, like a lullaby. For a moment, Chris stands still, letting the silence wrap around him. He feels deeply connected to this place, even if he may never return in the same way. As he opens the car door, a strange sense of déjà vu washes over him. He glances at the narrow streets one more time. The lanterns flicker. A single curtain in a nearby house shifts slightly. The air feels thick with unspoken farewell. He starts the engine. The familiar hum rises, grounding him back into the physical world. The headlights spill across the cobblestone, illuminating the road ahead. With a slow breath, he drives forward. As the car rolls through the edge of the town, something remarkable happens. The streets behind him begin to dim, not disappear, not collapse, but gradually soften, like a watercolor painting touched by rain. Colors blend, edges blur, lanterns fade into distant firefly glimmers. Chris keeps driving, not out of fear, but out of understanding. The town did not exist to be held onto. It existed to help him let go. The road becomes familiar again, a quiet stretch of countryside beneath a deepening night sky. Stars open above him, like gentle eyes watching over the earth. The breeze slips through the slightly open window, cool and comforting. Somewhere behind him, the memory town fades completely, returning to wherever such places go when their purpose is fulfilled. But its presence remains inside him, soft, warm, steady. As the miles pass beneath the wheels, Chris feels something new in his chest. Something peaceful, something whole. He isn't just driving back home. He is returning to himself. Night has settled fully by the time Chris nears the familiar edge of his town. Streetlights glow softly along the quiet roads, casting warm pools of amber across the pavement. The hum of his car blends with the gentle hush of nighttime, the distant chirping of crickets, the soft rhythm of wind brushing through trees, and the faint echo of the day slowly unwinding. Yet inside the car, Chris feels a calm he hasn't felt in a long time. The kind of calm that doesn't just soothe the mind, but settles deep into the heart. As he pulls into his neighborhood, the world looks just as it did this morning. Still, peaceful, ordinary. But something inside him has shifted enough that everything seems touched by a new glow. The small details he usually overlooks now feel comforting. The way the neighbor's porch light flickers, the silhouette of the old oak tree at the end of the street, even the faint golden halo from his own living room lamp spilling softly through the curtains. It all feels different, gentler, like he's seeing it with rested eyes for the first time in years. Chris parks his car in the driveway and sits for a moment, listening to the engine tick quietly as it cools. He places his hands on the steering wheel, appreciating the steady sense of grounding that simple contact brings. The day wasn't grand, wasn't extraordinary in the way people normally mean, but it held something rare, a stillness that reached inward and loosened something tight. He steps out into the night air. It's cool, wrapped in the faint scent of jasmine from the neighbor's garden. The breeze touches his face with the same gentle familiarity he felt throughout the day, as though following him home. For a moment, he closes his eyes, remembering the soft glow of lanterns, the old wooden bench beneath the oak tree, the keeper's calm voice telling him he'd been carrying more than he realized. Inside the house, Chris turns on a single lamp. The warm light fills the room without harshness. He slips off his shoes, runs a hand along the back of his couch, and lets his body ease into the softness of home. He feels present, more present than he has in months, perhaps years. The strangeness of the magic town lingers in his thoughts, but not in a way that confuses or troubles him. Instead, it feels like a gift, a memory meant to be kept close. It doesn't matter if it was real in the way the world measures reality. What matters is what it gave him: rest, clarity, gentleness. A reminder that sometimes the most unexpected places help us return to ourselves. He pours a glass of water, takes a slow sip, and breathes deeply. A sense of quiet fullness settles in his chest. He knows life will move on again tomorrow, with its routines and its demands. But he also knows he can find softness when he needs it, that he can step away and wander whenever the world grows too loud. As Chris prepares for bed, he glances once more through the window at the peaceful night outside. The sky is clear, stars scattered like soft points of light. The road he traveled still exists somewhere out there in the dark, stretching far beyond what he can see. But it no longer feels like an escape. It feels like a reminder. He lies down, the blankets cool and comforting, his mind settling like sand falling gently to rest. The day of aimless driving brought him somewhere he didn't expect. not toward a place on a map, but toward peace, toward understanding, toward himself. And as his eyes drift closed, Chris feels nothing but gratitude for the strange, gentle journey that began with nothing more than the choice to drive, with no destination at all.